Beethoven, you saved my life. But you better go home now.
"12 animals that saved people's lives." Number 12. Joanne Alsman is the owner of a pig named Lulu. Joanne was at home one day when she collapsed to the ground after experiencing cardiac arrest. Lulu noticed that her owner was in extreme pain and promptly ran out of the house and into the middle of the street. The pig blocked traffic from both directions to get a driver's attention. The pig then managed to lead the concerned driver back into the house so that they could find Joanne. The unidentified driver made his way into the home and found Joanne on the ground. He called the police to the scene and an ambulance was sent. Joanne managed to make a full recovery, and she owes it all to her pig Lulu. If Lulu hadn't been such an incredible friend and pet to Joanne, she almost certainly would have lost her life that day. Number 11. A 12-year-old girl in Ethiopia shared a rather incredible story with a news outlet following a particularly difficult time in her life. The young girl was kidnapped and held captive for over a week by 4 men who repeatedly beat her and attempted to force the young girl into a marriage she did not want. Police had been searching for the girl for several days, but were unable to locate the girl or her captors. Finally, an almost miraculous moment came. The men decided to take the girl and flee their current residence. However, they were stopped by 3 lions. The lions prevented the men from leaving with the girl and began to attack them, forcing them to flee. They left the girl behind, who was then cared for by the lions until police could arrive. The lions did not harm the girl in any way and instead protected her until her kidnappers were caught. According to specialists, the lions likely protected the girl because her cries sounded similar to those of a baby lion. Lions are notoriously protective over their young, and they most likely understood that the captors meant to harm the little girl. Number 10. It's wildly assumed that animals have an incredibly accurate sense of danger, much more accurate than that of a human. A young woman was taking part in a diving competition in an extremely cold and deep tank of water. The woman felt her leg begin to cramp, and within seconds, she was unable to move. She did not bring any diving equipment to this contest, so she had no means of oxygen at such depths. She soon began to drown over 20 feet below the surface of the tank. Mila the beluga was in the tank with the woman and soon grabbed the woman by the feet and began to push her towards the surface. Mila continued pushing the girl until she could be rescued, at which time she was taken safely onto dry land. If this whale had not sensed the young woman's danger and been able to accurately determine how to save her, the young woman almost certainly would have lost her life that day. Number 9. Nan Hauser is a seasoned whale biologist with years of experience. She was taking part in a research dive in the Pacific Ocean, looking to gather further information on specific species of whale. While in the waters that day, a tiger shark began to approach her. These sharks are known to be somewhat aggressive toward humans or marine wildlife who they see as a threat or a meal. The shark was headed directly toward Nan, who was wearing no form of protection. However, one of the whales that Nan had been observing began to swim to the rescue. Whales are known to be quite protective over many species that live underwater. Because of this, the whale recognized that Nan was friendly and meant no harm, and blocked the shark from being able to approach her. The whale then guided Nan back to the surface of the water, where her team was able to retrieve her from the shark-infested ocean. Nan has since come forward to acknowledge her appreciation for whales, claiming that she was impressed by the unbelievable kindness that the animal expressed towards her. Number 8. A man known simply as Mr. Stegal was the owner of a happy little rabbit named Dory. Stegal was an older gentleman with a known history of diabetes, and while watching TV with his wife one evening, he suddenly lost consciousness without his wife knowing. His wife assumed that he had just fallen asleep. However, their rabbit sensed the danger of the situation and became concerned. The rabbit was free from its cage at the time and sprung into action. Dory jumped onto the owner's chest and began repeatedly kicking him and tapping him. She refused to stop until the man's wife noticed and walked over to check on him. She found that he was actually unconscious and immediately called an ambulance. As it would turn out, Mr. Stegal had entered into a coma, but the hospital was able to pull him out of it safely thanks to the sixth sense of this sweet little rabbit. Number 7. A Doberman known as Hoenn is said to have risked his own life to save his owner's toddler from a potentially deadly snake attack. Hoenn and the little girl were out playing in the yard one afternoon as they usually did. The Doberman had been rescued from a nearby animal shelter just 4 days before the incident. While the two were playing, Hoenn noticed a large snake that turned out to be venomous. The dog first began to push the girl away from the direction of the snake. However, this didn't seem to be working. Concerned for the little girl's health, the dog then lifted her and threw her over 3 feet away from the snake. Sadly, in doing so, Hoenn was bitten by the snake. The girl's mom, just a few feet away indoors, heard the commotion and ran to help. She noticed Hoenn's snake bite and immediately took him to the vet for help. He was treated for his wounds and thankfully made a full recovery. Hoenn has since been referred to as Hoenn the Wonder Dog in honor of his bravery. Number 6. Having a pet goat may seem a bit strange, though these days nearly any animal can be a pet with the proper care. A young girl named Abigail was given a pet goat for her birthday several years ago. She instantly took a liking to the goat and named him Speedy. The goat and the little girl were virtually inseparable and were taking a nap together one day in the living room. During this time, Speedy was awoken by the smell of smoke. He noticed a fire and began to jump on the little girl's chest, forcing her to wake up. The toddler awoke and found that the entire home had been engulfed in smoke. She ran around the home in search of her parents, who then found out that the garage had caught fire. The home was nearly burnt down, but thanks to the goat, the entire family made it to safety. Without that help from Speedy, the girl or her parents could likely have been consumed by the fire without ever even waking up. Number 5. Robert Briggs is an experienced mountain climber with years of climbs under his belt. He was climbing through a heavily wooded area in California one day when he noticed a mother bear who had a child nearby. Nearly everyone keen on the outdoors knows that bears are extremely protective of their young, and simply seeing a human nearby can send them into a blind rage. However, out of nowhere, Robert was attacked by a mountain lion who struck him from behind. The lion was aiming for his face, but thanks to Robert's bulky backpack, the lion missed. Robert had no means of fighting off this lion and almost certainly had accepted his fate, though he was shaken to his core when he soon noticed that the mother bear had stepped in to help. The bear pounced onto the lion and began to attack it. The lion then scurried away into the woods, never to be seen again. Robert thankfully made it out alive with only a few minor injuries. Whether the bear was protecting him or its young, well, we may never know, but Robert is certainly thankful either way. Number 4. Amber Owen was a young girl who was vacationing in Thailand back in 2004. Though for those of you who may be unaware, this was an extremely awful time to have been in Thailand, as the area was hit by one of the worst natural disasters to have ever been documented. A tsunami hits the country, causing catastrophic damage and taking countless lives. One morning though, Amber was outside riding the elephant named Ning Nong. All seemed fine, but out of nowhere, the elephant began to move away from the nearby sea. Amber became scared as she felt as though she was no longer in control of the elephant. Ning Nong then took off into a distance at a full sprint. Though much to Amber's surprise, the elephant was taking her back to her nearby family. She stopped once the two had arrived and allowed Amber to dismount before fleeing to safety. Amber and her family all made it through the tsunami without injury, and Ning Nong has since been recognized by locals as a hero. Number 3. Years ago, an extremely serious event took place in a zoo in Brookfield. A young boy was watching over the gorilla exhibit when he accidentally fell into it. The enclosure was quite a distance below the boy, making an incredibly dangerous fall. However, upon impact, a mother gorilla took the boy gently in her arms and carried him to safety. From the images available of the incident, it seems as though the boy was knocked out during the ordeal and had no idea what was taking place. The gorilla protected him from the nearby gorillas until staff could remove him from the cage. He was then taken to a nearby medical facility and made a full recovery. Number 2. Adam Walker is an experienced British swimmer who is taking part in an incredibly long 8-hour marathon in the Pacific Ocean. During his swim, he noticed a very large white shark immediately in front of him. He was distressed and had no idea what to do and assumed that his marathon would likely be his last. Calculating his possible exit, he was stopped in his tracks, engulfed in fear. Just then, a large group of dolphins began to swim toward him, seemingly coming from nowhere. The dolphins swam up to the man and shielded him from the oncoming shark. They then swam alongside him for the next hour, guiding him and keeping him safe from danger. After the event, Adam stated that the two of his lifelong dreams came true that day. He was able to complete his marathon, yet also was able to live his dream of swimming with dolphins. Dolphins are known to be extremely keen to danger and are frequently documented as being life-saving animals both to their friends and owners. They have extremely sharp intuition and can react accordingly in most scenarios. Number 1. Many parrots can mimic the words of their owners. Many owners take advantage of this in a joking way. However, in this particular instance, the bird's ability to speak was life-saving. Willy the Parrot was eating breakfast one morning when his owner's child began to choke. The mother was not in the room at the time, and the parrot began to scream, "Mama! Baby!" over and over. The woman then rushed back to the kitchen and noticed her child was in distress. She was able to save the child just in the nick of time, as the young girl was already considered to be in critical danger. She has since made a full recovery, and Willy the Parrot was given the Animal Lifesaver Award by the Red Cross.